Sammy from Sammy's Sweet Life, and today is going to be Tea Tuesday, and I am riled the up over these PPP loans that YouTubers are taking. It just absolutely sickens me, and I'm going to get into it, and this may be my most ragey, my most triggered video. So buckle up, get your tea, hot cocoa, coffee, whatever you got. I have just plain old boring water like always. Maybe one day I'll change it up for you guys. But it's always boring water. I've got my Tervis jug, and this is my little Grinch Tervis, and I really like this one. All right, so I'm taking a sip, setting this guy down for now. So I am riled up, very irritated. I've been thinking about this now for like a week. I started hearing about certain individuals taking the PPP loans, and there are some like legit businesses that have taken them. While I think they probably didn't need to, like Jeffree Star took one. He does run an actual business, so I can see why he would maybe need one, even though he probably could continue to float his business. Sorry, this room's like really cold. I'm like bundling up. He probably could have gotten away with not taking a PPP loan because it's not like he couldn't feed his family. It's because he could take it and he still has lots of employees that he employs. So I feel like in his case, it may be justified, but there are a ton of YouTubers who have taken these PPP loans, and it just looks so and I will never watch their videos again, and I find them completely garbage, disgusting human beings for taking these loans. And I am riled up. I do watch an occasional dad challenge podcast video. I like him to some degree, but he gets really heavy on the snark. He kind of says mean things sometimes. I'm not down with that part of it, but he does uncover some really messed up shit. And so I've been watching his videos covering the PPP loans. He's talked about some of the people. He's got screen caps of people who have taken them. Love Meg, Aaron Williams, Tara Henderson, Colin and Katie, Jordan Page at Fun Cheaper Free, who I have been a big fan of. There are others, but those are the ones off the top of my head that I remember him talking about. And I'm sorry, some of these people have been taking Disney vacations during the pandemic, during this last year, multiple Disney vacations. They don't need a PPP loan, okay? They just don't. So these people are taking these loans, and we call them loans, but they're not actually loans. They're just gonna be forgiven. So this is free money that these people are taking while they're going and taking vacations to Disney. Like, these people are not struggling. Their employees, if they even have employees, are not struggling. Like, these people could afford to pay their nannies, their 2 nannies, out of their own pockets if they had to. They didn't have to take these loans from people who genuinely needed them. And it just shows how freaking privileged and out of touch these people are, that they're just pocketing this free money. One of them paid off like $25,000 worth of debt with their loan. One of them's taken like 7 vacations during the pandemic. One of them just bought a $3 million house. Like, these people just pocketed the money that they didn't need. They didn't really desperately need the money, and it's just effing disgusting. Just so disgusting. I'm so disappointed in all of these people who took the loans, and they get away with it because they have an LLC as their like YouTube business. Their YouTube business is blah blah LLC. So they can employ themselves through the LLC. So some of them have 1 employee, some of them have 2 employees, and it's them and their husband or them and their spouse. So they can get approved for the loan because they had so much paid in salary from the previous year that they paid to themselves. And they're getting this loan to pay their employee, which is also them. They're taking the loan for themselves and pocketing the money. And it's so shady, so gross. I wish it was against the rules. It looks like it probably is not against the rules, which is just unfortunate because those are our tax dollars going to fund people's freaking Disney vacations or to help them pay off their debt that they got themselves into living out of their means. So I'm just really disgusted about the whole thing. It's just so gross, and it shows how privileged these are. Just completely privileged. They have no idea what it's like to struggle, and I'm saying this as a very privileged person. Like, hello, look at this. This is privilege. And you know what I've been doing multiple times over the course of this pandemic, and lately, monthly, we have been donating to the Central Texas Food Bank because people are hurting. It's not everybody is doing okay. I recognize and I realize how privileged and how lucky that we are, and we are trying to help, and we are trying to give back because we just know, how lucky we are. My husband is still employed. Hopefully he doesn't get laid off anytime soon. We have money in the bank. We are not going to go hungry, and we're very, very privileged, and I know that we are, and I don't take that for granted because I actually grew up poor. That's garbage cans flying around. It's really windy here, so you hear like thumping. It's garbage cans. But I grew up really poor. I grew up with a single mom. We were on government assistance when I was young. My mom was working like 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet, and we were really struggling. We didn't live in good sides of towns. When I was first born, we lived with her parents because she had to get on her feet, and she was a single mom. It's a really, really tough thing to do. So I do not ever take my privilege for granted. And these completely scamming the system, and it's so morally bankrupt and disgusting, and I just cannot believe it. I just can't believe that. Josh from the Dad Challenge podcast, he had a really, really good way to like put this in perspective, because when you're looking at it overall, like, hey, they qualified for the PPP loan, why shouldn't they take it, you know? And I'm saying loan, but it's not really a loan. It's like, they qualified for this free government handout, why shouldn't they take it? Because they qualified. And I see that side of it, but it's not the morally right thing to do. And he put it in really good perspective. So he was talking about like, okay, let's say you're going to a free food bank. Somebody shows up in the Range Rover, doesn't need food, like can easily go buy groceries, but it's free food. So he goes, he loads up his bags, he gets them in his trunk, and he heads off home. Well, it's kind of a thing to do. And if there's food for everybody, then okay, he's just kind of a like, it's okay. But if, say, noon rolls around and they run out of food, and then the people coming after that genuinely need the food, they're genuinely people who are struggling, and the food is gone, they literally don't have food to eat because some rich banked the system and took the food away from the hungry people. And it's the same thing that happened with the PPP loans. Yeah, it's a thing to do to just take free government money just because you can, just because you qualify. It's kind of a thing to do. It's even when the money runs out. So there are tons of people who did not qualify for the PPP loans. They didn't get the money that they needed. They did have to close businesses. They couldn't pay employees who then struggled, and it affected tons of people. Like the stats that I'm seeing, like 30% of restaurants are going to go out of business because of this pandemic. And I'm very privileged and very isolated from it. But I see the for lease signs all up and down the roads. I see the businesses already closing. And I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm in a pretty affluent area. Austin's a pretty affluent town. And so I'm already seeing lease signs all up and down roads because it's closing down. Those are people's livelihoods going down in flames and people running out of money. The food bank numbers are just skyrocketing right now. The need is so great. And these people just took free money because they could. And they took it away from those people who really needed it when they didn't need it. They took Disney vacations. They have so much stinking money that they didn't need to take free money. It's so gross. And so I'm really just disgusted in this behavior. I want to talk about it. I will link to his couple of videos that I watched on it. I've heard of it before this too. I've heard it from other tea channels. I really, really hope Emily D. Baker breaks it down. It sounds like it's legit what they did. They ran it through their LLC, funneled the money back to their bank accounts, and got away with it. And it's just so gross. Just so gross. We're not struggling at all, and I know how privileged I am to be able to say that, and I'm very, very thankful for that. But I'm also donating to the food bank very regularly because I can, and I want to help out any way that I can. And these people are doing the opposite. They're taking money from people who need it when we're trying to give money to people who need it. And it's just so gross. I hate that they'll get away with it. Honestly, I think it's so nasty. I don't know how many times I can say gross in this video, but it just feels gross and wrong. And even if the money hadn't run out, even if everybody got their share that they needed to keep their businesses afloat and keep their businesses running, it was still just a thing to do. Like if they hadn't gotten a loan, oh, poor you couldn't take an 8th vacation for the year. Or, oh, poor you didn't get to go to Disney for the 3rd time this year. Or things like that. Like, it's just, they have no idea what struggling is like. And I'm sure they've got their own reasons, like, oh, our sponsorships went down, our AdSense went down, which I only buy to some degree. Yeah, I'm sure some sponsors pulled out, but my AdSense is up and my viewership is not that much different. Like, my viewership's pretty steady, has pretty steadily been the same that it's always been. Usually certain months are just like the lowest months anyway, and mine haven't been that low compared to previous years. So I don't buy the excuse that like their AdSense completely dried up. Like, okay, maybe they took a 5% hit or 10% hit certain months, but also other months were way, way up. They're way, way up compared to other months. So I just don't buy that as an excuse. And these people make gobs and gobs of money. So let's say one month they have a really month and they only get one sponsorship, or they only get like 25% of their AdSense revenue. They should have plenty of money to make it through. Like, that should not be make or break time for these people. These people have gobs and gobs of money. He was saying Ace Family's worth $20 million and they took a PPP loan. Like, what in the effing world? Like, they shouldn't have taken a PPP loan. It's just so gross. And I know I'll probably get some people like, well, they could do that, so why not? Like, why not stick it to the government? They didn't stick it to the government. The government was giving the money out anyway. They stuck it to the people who truly, truly needed it. The people who lost businesses, the people who couldn't pay their employees, who probably had families and who probably were already struggling. So they took it from actual other American people who needed the money. And that's what's the part that pisses me off. Like, okay, if you want to take government money, whatever, scam the system however you want. I think that's shady in the first place. Like, we pay our taxes. We know what it funds, and some things we agree with, some things we don't. I don't know about you guys, but I like to have firefighters. I don't know about you guys, but I like to have roads that work. I like to have bridges that don't fall down. Like, tax money goes for things. I like my kid to get a good public education. Our tax money goes to that. There's some things that they go for that I'm not a fan of. And what's really funny is one of the people, supposedly, I don't know if this is true, one of the people makes fun of people for taking government handouts. Well, guess what? You just took a government handout. Like the PPP loan, that's a government handout. So now you're just as bad as the people you make fun of and look down upon. I think businesses who genuinely needed the money and it was make or break time for them, they should have been first in line, and they weren't. They were behind all these privileged that took all the money. And it's just so gross. So I hope that Dad Challenge podcast and other people continue to call these people out, because what they did is so morally bankrupt that it's unbelievable in my mind. I can't with all of them. It's mind-boggling to me. I've been thinking about this for a couple of days and thinking about how I wanted to talk about it, and the only thing that keeps coming out is how gross I think they all are for doing this. So take with it what you will. I would love to know what you guys think. Do you guys think it was wrong? Do you guys think, like, well, anybody, it's fair game, they should have gotten there, screw the little guy, screw the people who were starving, they didn't get to it fast enough, so they didn't deserve it? Like, those are basically the two thoughts in my mind. Like, yeah, they beat the system and good for them. Like, they're the top of the line. And there's the other side that's like, wow, they're pieces of garbage human beings and they just are so privileged and disgusting. And that's where I lie. Like, I can see why people are like, everybody out for themselves, blah, blah, blah. That's how the world goes to shit. So, like, we all need to help out each other, not take free money just because it's free. So anyway, hope you guys liked it. Thumbs up, subscribe, check out the Tea Tuesday playlist down below, and I might catch you next Tuesday. So thanks so much for watching, guys. I'm gonna go try to relax. Bye.